Hey, folks, thanks for joining us for another WorkSmart episode. I'm here with my friend and mentor, Mr. Keith Doran, and he is really great at Excel, as we've done in several episodes. So today, Keith is going to show us how to take unformatted data and turn it into very neatly formatted information on the screen so that you can use it. And Keith, we looks like the results of what you showed me before. And this is like a bunch of email addresses that like came from Outlook or something like that.
Okay. Yes. So in this particular instance, I'm going to take a series of unformatted emails and then format them, and this is going to be the result. So you have the names and you have the actual sites that they came from.
All right.
So this is the original string. Now, in this particular example, I only have about 4 or 5 emails here just to make it simple. But just say you might have somebody sends you an email with 100 emails on it, and you wanted to format it in a nice Excel spreadsheet to use the data later.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
like constant contact or email a bunch of people from it. Yeah, I get it.
exactly. So now in this string, each email is delimited by a semicolon. So the
Mhm.
first thing we want to use is the Excel text to columns format.
Text to columns. Use that often.
Okay, so you go to the data, text to columns.
All right.
And this is just in one cell, so that's already highlighted. So now we want to select delimited. We're going to
Delimited.
use the semicolon as our delimiter. So here's our data, hit next.
Okay.
We're going to click other and specify a semicolon.
You are not alone.
Next, destination. You can leave the destination alone from here. Here it has the ability to format different columns, but we don't need to do that at this particular point. This is ready to go. We hit finish.
Boom.
And what it did is it put all of these emails in their own separate column.
Got it. So before it was in one cell, but now it just spread the wealth. It put it in several different cells across the board.
Exactly.
All
But
right.
now what we want to do is we want to create a row for each one of these emails. So now to get these emails from columns into row, we're going to use another Excel facility. We highlight these, Control C,
All right.
and then we're going to use paste special.
Paste special.
Click on transpose. Transpose will transpose columns into rows or rows into columns. We're going to go from columns into rows for this particular instance.
Yeah, I'm a rows kind of guy, so I would like stuff in rows. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're good to go. Now we can actually get rid of this.
Yeah.
And we're going to call this name.
Mm-hmm. Now
Now the
that's all
next,
well and good, but I think on the results sheet you showed me before, like it's that ends up you're going to be splitting this up more, if I'm not mistaken.
correct.
All right.
So now we want to split these by the names and then the actual websites that they are associated with.
Okay. So like AOL, IBM, all that.
So we're going to split by the @ sign. Text to columns again, delimited. Next, we specify the @ sign,
Okay.
and we're good to go.
All
So
right.
now we have the website here.
Okay.
The next thing we want to do is to split this name for the first name, last name, and this one actually has a middle name in here.
Uh-huh.
So again, we're going to use text to columns.
Right.
Delimited. Next, now we're going to specify the period as the delimiter.
Mm-hmm. But if you hit like finish, doesn't that put that like right in the B column instead of anywhere else? Or is there a way
Exactly.
to fix that?
By default, it's going to start by putting them in column A2. We don't want them in column A2. We want them in column C2. So here, we specify C2, and then the destination will be starting in C2, not overwriting our data. The other alternative, if we know these are only going to be 3 columns, we could have inserted 3 columns, moved this website over, either or, depending upon what you want to do. This is a little bit safer. So now they're all split up. So now we have the first name, middle name, last name. I like to highlight my column names.
Yeah, I like that too. I always freeze the first column. So like if there's like a lot of information on the screen, I could always see what's going on in the first row. I mean, in the first row.
Right. If you have a large amount of data, that's very useful. What Tom is referring to is going to the view, going to freeze panes. So now if you had like hundreds of rows, or they won't scroll off, the heading won't scroll off. Okay, so now we have first name, middle name, last name, but in this particular instance, some of them don't have middle names, and this one doesn't have a last name. So if we sort this by last name, then we get the ones that are all blank together. Go over here, insert, shift them right, and then now the last names are in the right columns.
So you can insert single cells simply by right clicking and then insert cells. Is that, and then you can choose how the cells come into the
right. When you insert, you can specify shift right, shift down, entire rows, etc., depending upon what you want to do. In this particular instance, I just wanted to shift them right.
Awesome. Okay, so now all the information is in the right place. But Keith, there seems to still be a problem here. It looks like everything, it's not in the proper, title case for names,
Right. The final result, if you notice, was proper first character capitalized and followed by the name. So to do that, so we're going to end up with the full name here.
Full name. All right.
So we want to go first name, space, last name. We're going to ignore the middle ignition for now. So there's a function called proper, P-R-O-P-E-R.
Sounds like a very British function.
It is very British. That's where English came from. So now you notice the jack is now capitalized to the proper way. So now we want to add a space. To do that, use an ampersand and then put a text, open text by double quote, space, close double quote, ampersand, and then we want to add the last name also in proper.
Gotcha. And then you open up that function and then you identify that cell.
And if you notice, I clicked on the cell to get it to the proper width for this particular name. So now we have the first and last name in the proper format. So now we want to take this, copy the formulas for the rest of the cells.
That's great. So it copies not the information in the first cell, but the formula in the first cell.
Right.
That's a really important point. And, audience, again, thank you for listening today. We're not going to talk about why that happened today, but please know that in the coming weeks, we're going to kind of go a little bit more deep dive into formulas, but we want to kind of get you warmed up for the usefulness of this. But Keith, this is great. I mean, it really allows us to be able to take information and use it the way that we need to.
Okay, so if you notice, Excel, each line has its pulling it from the proper source. Excel is very smart in doing this.
And clearly so are you. It's like and just so you guys know, and Keith, how long you've been doing Excel? I mean,
Oh, how long has Excel been around? I guess I don't know.
right? It's like back in the late 80s, early 90s. So I'm only on it for like about 20 years. And, admittedly, sometimes I don't use it as much as I should. But lately, through our conversations, it's really kind of created a resurgence in my mind, like being more efficient and getting some stuff done a lot better.
Okay, so now these formulas are all based upon this data here. Now, if you always want to keep this in sync with this, leave the formulas out there.
Mm-hmm.
But just say you can actually change this, and you don't want to change this. Every time you change this now, so
Make it Thimble is the first name, so it'd be like Thimble Nimble.
so you change this, this is going to change. And if you want to do that, if you want to keep these two in sync, that's fine. But just say, like, especially like if you have like any kind of numbers for, like, I know I ran across like have historical data, and I created historical data for the month, figured out all the data, all my numbers for that particular month. So what happens is if I copy them to another spreadsheet, another page, every time I change the original data, the historical data is going to change too, which I did not want.
Uh-huh.
So let's revert this back. So now if I want to keep this data intact, regardless of this, so these are all based on formulas. I want to convert this into actual text. So what I do is highlight the cells, hit Control C.
Right.
And then I'm going to paste special the values. So now it's going to overlay the formula with the actual values themselves.
Okay. All right. So it's no
So
longer
now,
a
yes,
formula. Now it's just like the text.
it is now text.
All right.
So if you change this, it stays intact.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
by Control Z, by the way, will restore that.
Yes. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the most useful function in Microsoft Office because, a lot of mistakes can be made, but you hold down the control button with your pinky, and with your index finger, you hit the letter Z, and it takes you back in time, very similar to the way that Superman saved Lois Lane in the first Superman movie. I'm getting a little goofy here, but you can literally turn back time and correct mistakes with Control and Z.
So for instance, if you deleted something by mistake, Control Z, it's already back.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that concludes it. So in here, we have a few facilities which are going to be very useful for formatting data. And depending upon what data comes in, you use different techniques in order to do so. But the text to columns is very useful. The transpose, where you're taking data from columns and transposing it into rows, is very useful.
It's the paste special, and then transpose is a little checkbox.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, let's go through. Yeah, let's just to show you again. Paste special, and you click on the transpose button over here. There's also all sorts of other facilities you can do with the paste special.
Got it. Keith, thank you for joining us today. Yet another excellent lesson on our WorkSmart series. We should be having a few more. And please, if you have a particular component that you'd like to learn in Microsoft Excel, send us a comment or a message, and we'll be happy to create a little video around it for a while. All right. So y'all have a great rest of the week. And Keith, thanks for joining us once again.
All right. Thank you. Bye now.